Hello there everyone and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, Better Than Starting Manned. We are back and we are going for our next missions. So I've got a couple things I want to accomplish in the next little while. This is going to have to wait. Okay, so here's the deal. I figured out what I want to do with this series going forward and how things are going to play out in the next month or so. As I may have mentioned in my Better Than Wolves series, I've got a game coming out, Fallout 4, that I'm really looking forward to. And I just do not have the time to maintain all of the series that are currently going on. So at least a couple of the series are going to go on hiatus. I haven't 100% decided about Kerbal Space Program yet, but there may be a short hiatus coming. Now, that said, I've also decided that I'm not going to be wrapping up the Kerbal Space Program series. I was originally thinking about having my mission to Duna, my manned mission to Duna, being the final mission of the series. But the more I thought about it, the more it just seemed like I'm just getting to the part where this is really interesting and exciting for me. Because I'm actually finally breaking new ground. So what I'm probably going to do is I will take a brief hiatus when Fallout 4 comes out, maybe a week or two at most, to just get that game rolling. And then we'll come back and we'll continue as long as this is going. I'm not gonna wrap this series and start a new one. I'm just gonna stick with the current version. I know that 1.0 is update and everything, and there's new stuff and all that. But I've invested way too much time in this version of the game to abandon it. Not when I'm finally to really exciting challenges. Like actually surpassing what has been accomplished by NASA in the past. Putting manned missions on Duna and that sort of thing. Pardon me, I'm just drinking my coffee for the morning. So, based on that, the Duna mission is going to be pushed back a little bit. Because we need to get this Science Junior first. The reason being that our Duna mission should really have this Science Junior so that we don't have to do the Duna mission twice. It's a device for doing science on the surface of a planet, but it has to be delivered as it's basically a laboratory that you carry to the destination and back again. So this is the science we're going to get. We're going to get the Science Junior first, and then most likely we'll get the this one here, the Life Support Storage Unit, and we'll either do the Duna mission or we'll do an asteroid intercept, which could also be quite fun. Alright, so Science Junior, 2500 science, gone. So that means that our next two metamaterials is also another option, because the Nuk would let us go to Joule, and also we get a launch mass limit upgrade, but that'll be one of the next ones. I'm just wondering where the pressure-rated probe cores are. Yeah, here we are, the Octo 2. This is the, 6 atmospheres. These are the probe cores that can actually survive Eve right here. Alright, let's get out of here. So, also in the near future is this mission right here, which is sending 2 separate payloads to Ike. To both clear out these missions and get a series of new ones. And this will take, when we do actually these, if we can play it, well, we'll have to see. I think there's enough I think we can just deliver this to Minmus with our manned mission. But these other ones, these engine tests landed at Minmus. I think they're going to have to wait until... they're going to have to be a separate mission. We'll figure that out later. But I mean, $500,000 for that one and 45,000. That's not great, but 500,000 for this one test right here. That's pretty huge. All right, but first things first, it's time to plan our mission back to the moon. And we're going to do it right this time. As you might recall, our last lunar mission was an unmitigated, well, as far as I'm concerned, it was an unmitigated disaster. So we're going to do this a little differently. We're going to go a little more robust. It's still going to be a separate lander and return stage, but the designs are going to be revised a little bit here. So hopefully I can get this right this time. Okay. So we're going to design our payload first. Actually, you know what? No, we need to design the landing payload first. So we're going to do, first project is going to be Mark 1, no, Mark 2 lander can. Oh no, that is the lander can we want. Two man, two can lander can. Okay, this is the one we want. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to design our payload. Now, which side of this can we actually travel through? Let me have a look, because we had trouble with that, I remember. And I got to remember why we had trouble with it. Let me just check the lander can. It was weird. No access via the bottom node. Okay, so this is the one they can't travel through. So that makes this easy. Now we can do this right and put that right there. So that's easy. That's the top of it. Now then, for this thing to work right, we need both the, as far as science is concerned, we do still need the biometric sensor array because with the disaster we had, we never got our landed biometric information. And we need a science junior, which makes things very interesting. Just curious what it looks like deployed. Okay, so problem that I'm seeing already is that this is going to be a very, very hard ship to navigate. Now we're going to need a surface to actually work on. So I'm leaning towards actually doing that. That will give the Kerbal, our Kerbal guys somewhere to stand while they work on the various projects they're going to have to do. Now, utility-wise, we need a ladder. How far down does this go? Way too far. Okay. Let's see if we've got a smaller one. There we are. Perfect. Okay. So there's the ladder we're going to use. Now that weighs how much? 0.005. Boy, if that's going to be a problem, we have a serious issue. Okay. So this is our payload. You know, that might actually be excessive. Let's see how much the smaller heat shield. Actually, that should be large enough, shouldn't it? Yeah, I think it will be. That's more than enough space to stand as well. All right. And then that's going to have underneath it a decoupler, because this is the part that's actually going to get landed on Kerbin. Now, as far as parachutes go, yeah, so this is the piece that has to go home. Actually, now that I think about it, if I'm going to be going like this thing does not carry very much life support. I should be able to transfer him back for the landing part, though, but is there really a value in having two separate... I don't think there is, actually. Here, sorry, you'll understand. My thought is, okay, what's the difference? 0.06 versus, okay, a lot different. No, I think we will do it this way. So this will be the piece we return with our Kerbal on board. And we'll just have to make sure we restock the life support post mission. That's all. Okay, so what other parts do we actually want to send to the ground? This is actually really important. Well, first of all, we're going to need RCS thrusters on here for control. We're going to need parachutes on here. Let's get the snapping on. There we are. All right, put those there and those there. Now then, parachutes. We can't do that because that will cover up our door. All right, we'll put those there. We'll put 2 more there. That's 6. Now, how much are these designed to handle? Just thinking. I think maybe we'll put one more batch of chutes on here. Except that's going to block the... Nah, you know, I think 6 might be enough. Does it feel like enough? I don't know if it feels like enough. Well, the mass of this so far is 4 tons, so it's actually not that big of a... It's not that big yet. So it might actually be okay. Okay, well let's continue. So this is the payload we need to return home. This is the part that's going to come back to Kerbal. Now, as far as data goes, we're going to have one biometric sensor data set. And that's going to be the landed. So this would be called the Moon Probe Moonshot. We'll call it Moonshot 10 lander. All right. So part 1, yeah, Moonshot 10, the landing portion. Okay. So now I've done the math on the delta V here. So this is the payload we need to get to the ground, which means we need 580 delta V to get it down and another 580 delta V to get it back up into orbit again. And if this is all we're sending down, we don't have to worry about complications. We don't have to worry about the delta V for landing the actual ship. We just have to worry about this piece. So this is going to need very careful design. We're going to start with... Now, it's the number is 40% of the ship should be fuel. Thank you very much for finally getting that through my thick skull. It's only taken, what, a year for me to get those numbers in place? There's my notes. Okay, well, let's start with a gray tank. I think it's going to be excessive, but let's put the gray tank on here and we'll do the math. Or I'll do the math off camera, possibly, depending. I'm concerned that might be excessive. What we might have to do in terms of height as well. I've got a thought. Now, possibly, that will be adequate. I think we're going to need the Poodle engine. I think we're going to need a slightly gutsier engine than the LV909 for this. I'm definitely going to need a full ring of these landing legs. Let's see, which are the biggest ones? Those are wimpy. These are the monsters. Okay. All right. There's the landing legs. That should be just fine. All right. Let's retract them. Okay. Let's rotate it to. Okay. No, we need to do it this way. We need to have it free floating because we need to give space for the proper ladder setup. Because we're going to need ladder sections from here. Last thing we want is for our Kerbals to not get back on the ship, right? I just hope this doesn't unbalance things too much. I'll run the numbers before we do anything. Actually, we could just snap these now. There we go. Much better. That'll make it... Now they're lined up proper. Alright, and then we'll put on the slightly more robust... What the heck? Where'd that go? Now, I fully expect some of you are going to tell me that this is excessive, and I would normally agree, except for the nightmare that we had with the previous mission. Remember how much trouble we had landing this fool thing. Alright, why is that? Oh, it's doing the... Okay, what is your problem, you silly thing? Ah, there we go. Okay, good stuff. That is going to work out perfect. Okay, good stuff. All right, so how much mass have we put on one side of this? Because that's actually a big concern now. So we've put on 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, 0.035. 0.035. What do we have that weighs about that? 0.025 is that. Or we just look for one little battery, 0.05, 0.03, oh, 0.03. That actually almost one pot XL battery, just as a little counterbalance here, will actually do the trick. Now we won't worry about the 0.5 on the other side of the ship, or the 0.5 on the lander, because the 0.005 is not enough. That just cancels out any big concerns about balance. Right there. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so 16-ton payload, 16.5-ton payload. Of that, 8 tons is fuel. So, okay, well, let's just hold on. Before I do anything else, we don't actually have everything we need here yet. So, as far as the lander is concerned, the Mark 1 lander can uses 14.85 electric charge per minute. Yeah, I did these numbers a while back, and I really should just do this off camera, but I'm going to quickly crunch this. I think we only needed one large battery to get this thing successfully down. I'll put the battery on and I'll confirm it. We're also going to need... So we'll put one large battery on. Whoops. There we go. Okay, and now we need RCS thrusters and RCS fuel. Okay, there's our 4 RCS thrusters to match the others. I just hope they work where they are. Okay, why do those look a little off? They look off. Why do they look off? Something didn't quite lock properly, I don't think. That still doesn't look quite right, but I guess it is right. Okay, fuel, RCS fuel. Now, how much do we want to take down? I'm gonna say 4 of these tanks would probably be sensible. Those are off-center. Shift. There we go. Okay. Is that going to be enough for maneuvering this beastie? Considering we have to dock as well, that might still be a little bit under. Let me just have a look at this. Before we get too far into this, let's have a look at the Science Junior. Yeah. Yeah, it just has to be landed context. It doesn't necessarily, there's no, yeah. No, we'll be fine. That's going to work just perfectly. Or just adequately, at least. Okay, so all this is going to get left in lunar orbit. We're not going to bring this chunk home. So that's not an issue. But we do have basically a 20-ton lander. Of that, 8 tons is fuel. So let's do the first calculation, which is 8 divided by 20 is 40% exactly. Okay, so that's a balanced... This is balanced. Now, the delta V quantity is another question entirely. And that's a question I'm going to answer off camera here in just a minute. So I'm going to do a bit of number crunching, and I will bring you guys back in when I have finalized this lander design and what is missing from it. See you on the flip side. Hey guys. Alright, so I've run the numbers. Thanks to a very nice online calculation tool, which will help prevent me from making these mistakes in the future, or any mistakes in the calculations going forward. I've determined that this beastie here has 2006, call it 2000 even, delta V capability. Now, the numbers for the moon are, if you're in a 10-kilometer orbit, so low lunar orbit, it requires 1,160 delta V to get from low moon orbit to the surface and back into orbit again. Now, considering the fact that we're going to be docking with a command ship as part of this process, I think an extra 900 delta V, considering how much trouble I've had with docking in the past, I think that gives us a nice bit of breathing room. I will value your opinions on this, of course, and certainly I've got a little bit more work to do before I can launch this mission, because I still have to design the command module, but let me know what you think. Am I on the right track? And we'll see. Now, in the meantime, we're going to start with design the Moonshot X command. And the way this is going to work is we're going to go turn this beastie here into a subassembly. Oh. Apparently it wants this whole thing to be... Alright, forget it. Alright, you know what? We're just gonna continue. We'll make some changes here. We'll convert. We need that. That. Okay. Now, funny enough, we're not taking this command module to the ground this time. This thing's going to get discarded. Just for a very, very big, different universe, because we need to return the stuff that was actually landed on the moon this time, not the stuff that was in orbit. This is just to keep our Kerbal alive on the return trip. Alright, so this ship needs to have 2 stages, a stage to get to the moon and a stage to return. Each one of them will require a maximum of 1,170 to get from low Kerbal orbit, 70 kilometers, to low lunar orbit at 10 kilometers. Now, the return stage doesn't need as much because it can use the atmosphere to greatly reduce the delta V cost of the atmosphere of Kerbal. But as long as I've got enough... Actually, yeah, that's about right. No, I don't want to deploy the parachutes at the same time as the stage that. That would be a disaster. Okay. Sorry, just thinking out loud. Okay. So, what do we need in the orbiting portion of this ship if we're going to keep it running nicely? Well, we're going to use solar panels. We've got the nice compact solar panels that orient to the sun, so that just makes life all the more easy. We're going to take one big RCS tank and one large inline reaction wheel for stability. Use 4 RCS there. And then we need one large battery to act as our electrical buffer, but that's it. So that's one large battery on the lander. That's actually a calculation I didn't run. I meant to run that off camera, just to make sure that 3200 electrical is enough for the... Well, actually... It's going to use 14.85 per minute, and it has how much life support? We just have to calculate out mission length. I should really have this information noted. I probably have this information noted down. So it's 240-minute mission times 14.85, 3,564. 3,200 plus 400 is 3,600. Hey, that's perfect. So that one extra pot 9 battery actually did the trick. That pushed us over the threshold between enough electrical and not enough electrical. Huh, that's kind of funny. Okay. So we have a 31-ton ship, and 40% of it needs to be fuel. So we're going to use another... This is going to be the return stage, because that's the next piece we need to worry about, is how are we going to get this thing back to Kerbal. Now, I suspect if we're going to be going with the standard rocket equation, that we're going to need about that much fuel. So the stage is going to... Okay, hold on. Actually, this is important, because we're not actually taking any of this home. And that's really important for this stage. I have a sneaking hunch, since we're not taking any of this gunk home, that we can get away with the same sized payload as the previous one. Because if we yank off all of this, it was a 26-ton ship. That's a 19-ton that's 19 tons. So it's a little bit larger. So it's 26 tons, which means we need about a third more. Okay. So we have, back to the numbers, a medium gray and a small gray. So 8 plus 4 is 12 tons of fuel out of a 31-ton ship. Is 38%. So it's still a little shy. It's a tiny bit shy on fuel for the full, but we're dealing with an atmospheric reentry. So I think we're going to be okay. And this is the stage that also needs solar panels on it. We're going to put the solar panels on two sides. We'll use the 1x6s again. We'll put 1, 2, 3 solar panels. So each one of these generates 54 per hour. This thing uses 12.38 per minute. 54 divided by 60 times 6 is 5.4. 12.38 per minute. That's not even remotely enough, is it? We're going to need at least double that. Times 2 is 10.8. Yeah, so we're going to need 14 of these? Am I reading that right? Yeah, it looks like 14 is the magic number, isn't it? To maintain power. Alright, so we'll start here. 2, 4... And actually, this is going to throw off our calculations, isn't it? 6. Maybe we do need a medium-sized tank for this. You know what? We do. Let's just be realistic. We need this tank. Okay. 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 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay. It says here that should be an adequate quantity of solar panels for this ship. Yeah, no, that seems right. It might be slight overkill, but I think if we're going to maintain this ship with the current state, that's the way we want to go. Okay. So now we have 16 tons of fuel on a 39-ton ship. 16 divided by 39 is 41%. So there we are. That is right on the nose for the amount of fuel we need for this mission. We have our RCS in place. We have the all-important strut connectors for launch in place, because this is going to be very, very unstable to begin with. And all this stuff will get left behind with the command module after we decouple. There we go. Okay, nice and stable and strong. That's going nowhere. Excellent. So 39.4 tons. Yeah, it's still well within the range. Okay. So that's all for today's episode, everyone. All that's left is bringing in the third stage, which I'm leaning towards. I don't know precisely how much fuel it's going to take, but I'm leaning towards a double dose of these tanks, because we're not going to need any more fuel. So that's 16 tons and 2 Poodle engines. So let's just do a quick calculation, because this is the biggest one. So we've got 94 tons of 16 tons. 16 tons of fuel. 16 divided by 94 is 17%. So that's not even close, I don't think. I will run the numbers, and we'll talk in the next episode about what we need to do to get this mission up and running. But it looks like we're going to be able to squeak it in just under the 120-ton launch limit, which is my most powerful launcher, which means we'll be able to get this thing to low Kerbal orbit. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next episode, where this thing will be hopefully finished. And I'll be able to let you know if there's enough delta V on this thing. Or, well, you'll see that I will have tweaked it if this isn't quite enough. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.